Hello, my name is Bill Camp, and this is A Gentle Soul. Each week I provide a short message that is relevant to where we are in this epidemic. Today I'm looking at 1 Peter 3:17, where he talks about suffering for doing the right thing. Some of us feel as though we are being persecuted by this coronavirus. Or maybe it's the lockdown that's making us suffer. Back when the persecution was a real problem for Christians, the Apostle Peter wrote, "For it is better to suffer for doing good, if suffering be God's will, than to suffer for doing evil." I take it that Peter is saying that suffering happens. No one gets a free pass. Sometimes it's the rules that we have at work. Sometimes it's the government red tape. Always in the background, our society is inflicting pain through racism, bigotry, and the failure of our legal system to provide justice for all. Peter says that it's better to get caught and punished for doing the right thing than it is to be caught doing something selfish or violent or just plain dumb. I first read this scripture almost 50 years ago. I came of age in the tumultuous 60s. I knew about people suffering and going to jail for breaking laws that didn't make any sense. There were young people, black and white, who were beaten and sometimes murdered for trying to help people of color become registered to vote. To paraphrase Peter, it's better to be lynched for doing the right thing than it is to be a good old boy enforcing systemic racism. Our Christian faith stands shoulder to shoulder with those people of conscience of any religion who ended up in jail or worse for doing the right thing. Nowhere does the Bible give shelter to those self-righteous prigs who may have the law on their side, but nevertheless behave selfishly or feign violence, like those who took their guns into the Michigan State Capitol building, or those who otherwise behave stupidly. Today, the coronavirus has once again made this scripture relevant. Each of us are learning new ways to do the right thing. Social distancing, wearing masks, having our workplaces and stores shut down, all this involves our suffering for doing the right thing. Remember, it's better to suffer for doing good than for doing evil. Since the end of February, it's been one hassle after another. I don't like my mask. I've thought about getting a prettier one. My cousin is a healthcare provider, and she complains about how after a long shift, her ears really hurt. Many people today have things much worse. If signing up for unemployment or going to the food bank is a new experience for you, be mindful of those who continually deal with poverty and hunger. We also take comfort from the words Peter wrote long ago, during a time in which Christianity was illegal, and doing your religion could lead you to the lion's den. He said, "It's better to suffer for doing good, if suffering be God's will, than to suffer for doing evil." Having said this, Peter gives us a memorable illustration of his words. Jesus not only suffered on the cross, an innocent man dying for doing the right thing, he also went deep into the eternal prison we call hell. There he was for 3 days, working to release those who were held captive. Remember, there's a line in the traditional version of the Apostles' Creed that says, "And he descended into hell." That's what it's there for. But why did Jesus go and suffer time in hell? Certainly he didn't deserve the punishment, but he did it because it's important to have compassion on those who suffer. Jesus went to hell so that when we find ourselves suffering, we know that he is right there with us. He is shoulder to shoulder with the nurses and doctors who work impossible shifts. Jesus is shoulder to shoulder with us in the bread lines, with the humiliation of being without work. Jesus knows how we miss our loved ones as we self-isolate. He whispers to us, it's better to suffer for doing the right thing. Amen. That's the good news. For a text of this message, please go to www.billcamp.info. You can also find help for these troubling times at morethantheflu.com. Stay safe.